Well, hello, Boomer. You're back from the park. I heard it was an exciting time. Rosa-Leigh said there was a parade. I imagine you were really excited. Were there other dogs there? You got something in your mouth. Can I have it? Oh, wow. Look what we have. I got a couple rocks.
Yeah, they couldn't find any bones.
You couldn't find any bones. Well, how come you picked up rocks?
Oh, they were just begging me to pick them up.
The rocks were begging you?
Yeah, they were.
So tell me about this parade.
Oh, there was all kinds of boys and girls, and moms and dads,
Oh, yeah.
and there was balloons and singing. It was so much fun. All kinds of noise.
Yeah, I can imagine. Parades are pretty noisy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was going to tell you about a parade today.
You were?
Yeah, a parade that's kind of found in the Bible. In fact, this Sunday's called Palm Sunday, and it was kind of like a parade.
Really? With balloons?
Well, not really balloons. It was more like branches, palm branches from the trees. But the story took place in Jerusalem. And Jesus was with his disciples, and they were heading for Jerusalem. And on the way there, he said to a couple of his friends, I want you to go into a nearby town, and you'll find a donkey tied with its colt, and bring them to me. And so they did. And Jesus sat on the donkey's colt.
Did he start bucking?
Bucking? No, he didn't. You see, Jesus is not only God's son, he's the creator of all things. So when he sat on that donkey that had never been ridden on before, I'm sure that donkey knew just who he was.
No, he sure did.
Yeah. And so he rode through the city streets on this donkey. When the people saw him coming, well, they knew who he was. They had seen him do miracles. He made the lame to walk, the blind to see. He had healed people from sickness. And he was a great teacher. And they thought he would make the perfect king. They were under Roman rule, and they wanted their own king, a Jewish king. And so they started to celebrate. They took down palm branches, probably about 6 feet long, and they waved them high in the air, and they shouted his praise. Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest.
Now, what does Hosanna mean?
Hosanna means save us. They wanted him to be their king. He would be the perfect king. He is the king of the Jews. And they were hoping that day that he would come into the city and he would save them from Roman rule. But that wasn't his reason for coming, as we will find out. But you know what? They not only took palm branches and waved them in the air just like flags, celebrating his coming, they also took off their coats and they put them in the dirt road for his donkey to walk on.
Oh, just like a king.
That's right, just like we would put a red carpet out for a king. That's what they did. And they celebrated him coming into the streets. There was so much joy and singing. Maybe they were even playing tambourines and harps as they sang praise to the Son of God who had come, they had hoped, to be their new king. Well, as they sang his praise, there were some that weren't very happy. They were the Pharisees, the religious leaders. And they said to Jesus, Teacher, rebuke your disciples. In other words, tell them to be quiet, tell them to stop. And Jesus said, I tell you, if these were silent, the very stones themselves would cry out.
Oh, singing stones.
Yeah, singing stones.
Just like the ones that were begging you to be picked up.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yes. But these stones would sing out if these people were silent. You know, different places in the Bible, in the book of Psalms, it tells us that creation sings praise to God. The trees, the ocean, the mountains, the birds, and apparently even the stones. But the people themselves were giving praise to God, and Jesus didn't try to stop them. You know, when he came into Jerusalem on that day, he fulfilled prophecy. Zechariah one of the prophets from the Old Testament, he had told us many years before this that this would happen. He said, "Rejoice greatly, O daughters of Zion. Shout for joy, O daughters of Jerusalem. Look and see, behold, your king is coming. He is just," that means righteous, "without sin, and having salvation, lowly, and riding on a donkey, a colt, the foal of a donkey." And just like Zachariah said, it had come to pass. Jesus knew his enemies were in Jerusalem. He knew what was ahead. He knew that they were going to try to take him, and that they were going to try to put him on trial, and they would try to do awful things to him and eventually put him on a cross. He knew all about that. And he knew his purpose for coming into Jerusalem that day was not to set himself up as king and conquer their enemy, Rome. It was to come into Jerusalem as Savior, as the rescuer from sin and death and Satan. You know, boys and girls, Palm Sunday is a day of rejoicing when Jesus humbly went on that donkey into the city of Jerusalem on his way to the cross for us. We can sing his praise today. We can give thanks for what he has done.
Yeah, 'cause if we don't, the rocks will sing out.
That's right, they could. I hope you have a great Palm Sunday, and don't forget to give thanks to Jesus for what he's done for us.
Bye, boys and girls, and a happy Palm Sunday.